Music's not playing yet. There it goes. And we can, of course, adjust the volume of that on the fly, which is very nice. All right, we should be good. Let me just double check here. Tonight we're painting Intercessors. Plans changed a little bit from last week. Got everything up here. Shows we're live on Twitch. What about on YouTube? Yep, shows we're live on YouTube. Awesome. All right, let me get the chat up here. And then we should be good to go. Okay. I do need to grab real quick. I just remembered you're going to see a different tab for a second here. There we go. Now sound alerts will come up on the stream too. Perfect. Okay. Drinking our off-brand, non-copyrighted soda. I think it's still probably copywritten, but it's fine. Bring that music down just a little bit more. Okay. So, I know last week I promised that I was going to be doing Thousand Suns, and that next week we'll get back to our Barbados, as we will. This is next week's project, just as it was last week's project. Everybody who doesn't know, we're alternating between painting and building every week. Tonight, we're going to work on some Intercessors, and I've moved the camera a little bit. This should make it a little bit easier for everything to not only focus, but also be visible. Hopefully, then you should actually be able to see my movements. It's still not going to focus, but we have an Intercessor here. Because there's a brand new Intercessor kill team, and it seems really cool. So, for Intercessors, I have my own personal Successor chapter that I've come up with for Blood Angels called the Crimson Quietus. And they use a little bit different of a paint scheme. We also have a new light on the set here, and hopefully that'll help balance things out. I was really hoping... There we go. Oh, come on. It's not going to help me here at all, is it? We're going to have to figure out this focus so that it actually works. Right, like it's supposed to. This should be the main point of the deal right now. Okay, fine. So we've got... Color-wise, we've got a deep red that obviously is the Crimson and the Crimson Quietus, right? And then we've got a black shoulder pad. And there'll be gold on the outside, and a red shoulder pad. And then gold helmets for the Assault Intercessors. And that includes their Sergeant. Their Sergeant doesn't get a special colored helmet, unlike in the Blood Angels themselves. And for the regular Intercessors, we're going to go for a blue helmet. And the point being that, you know, hey, these are Crimson Quietus. They have no differentiation between rank when it comes to their helmet colors, because they are all doomed to die in the service of the Emperor, basically, is the goal. But I really like that gold that the Assault Intercessors got. And I haven't picked a blue yet for the helmet, because I didn't think I was going to have to until this got announced yesterday. So we're going to start with everything else, and we'll come to the helmet last, and we may check out a couple different blues. But I've got my wet palettes over here. I forgot to grab one to start off with. And again, this may not be interesting to anybody else. Hey, well, I just remembered that I need to retweet the stream tweet and do the Discord notification. Painting some Blood Angel Intercessors. Nope. For the next hour or so. We'll alternate painting and building each week. So next week we'll be back on the Barbados. And this week we will be painting some Intercessors. So we'll put out the Discord notification, and then we will get started. because I had forgotten to do those things. So there we go. All right. And I have the notifications, everything turned on. I have a water ready for hydrate. So, green screen shifted when we did that. Brand new light is causing some difficulties. I was hoping it would fix this little green screen problem you can see right here. And instead, I think that it might just be like making them worse, but we'll see. All right, so as I said, we're using the custom colors for my Crimson Quietus Successor chapter for Blood Angels. I'll talk a little bit about what that means for anybody who doesn't know, that is just interested in building models and has never seen painting models. I'm also not a very good painter. I'm still learning, so please be patient with me. But we're going to start with our red. I used contrast paints for these guys. This is Blood Angels Red, the contrast paint. So we're going to open up this paint pot here. We're going to take a nice fine tip brush. Fairly fine. And we're just going to get going here, because the main point of the model is still red. So we put it on the palette first to be able to disperse some of that red, and then we just get to painting. The big advantage of contrast paints, it's why I like them, is that I don't have to apply a base and then another coat. I can just go straight into the contrast, and I don't have to water down my paints. I'm still a very new painter who doesn't really know what he's doing. And so watering down my paints is a very intimidating thing that worries me, you know? And so I go for the contrast paint method, and then I apply extra coatings if I want to deepen the color or anything like that. Like, these guys have a little bit deeper red from that. I may need to zoom this camera in a little bit more for it to actually be making any difference, because it's picking up too much. But I'm afraid if I zoom too much, you won't be able to see too much. Speaking of seeing, we'll raise the brightness on this and turn it a bit. And I dropped my boy. But at least you can see how quickly the contrast paint dries now. Yeah, I'm still very new to this and very nervous about it. I'm always afraid I'm going to mess up and make them look bad. But ultimately, I just decided, hey, at the end of the day, they're mine. And if they look bad, well, I'll just do better next time. Because otherwise, I would not have been able to get the willpower together to do this. Because I spent a lot of money on all these guys over time, you know, and I want them all to look good. I want them to look good for me and for everybody else. But ultimately, it's better to try and fail than it is to never try at all. And that is what I finally just settled on. Said I would rather fail a lot and eventually succeed than never try and never succeed. Oh, you're good, Will. These Friday streams are just, you know, casual, hang out, chat, have a good time streams, you know? I do something that might be heretical for Blood Angels players, because this is my custom chapter. I haven't painted in custom colors. And I have the eagle on the chest is black instead of red, which I know is crazy. Or instead of gold, I mean. But, you know, why not mix it up a little? The whole point of my custom subchapter, and I should probably explain what that is for anybody who doesn't know. I messed up a little bit right there on the shoulder. That's okay. The whole point of a custom subchapter is, so at one point in the lore of the Space Marines, the Rabute Gilliman made a book that basically, like, so short background. At one point, a bunch of Space Marines betrayed the Emperor. And Rabute Gilliman was like, hey, that can't happen anymore. That's a bad thing. We need that not to happen again. And so, up on Twitch, but not on YouTube. Uh-oh. Are we not on YouTube? YouTube says we are. me double check. Okay, we are. Just low bit rate words. Hopefully that works itself out. Hi, YouTube. Yeah. But a bunch of Space Marines betrayed the Emperor to go work for these guys named Chaos, that's a problem, you know. And so Rabute Gilliman was like, hey, we never need Space Marines to be in such number that if they betray us, it's a problem. So I'm going to make this book. I'm going to write this book. I guess you don't make books, you write them. I'm going to write this book, and this book is going to say, this book is the new bylaws that all Space Marines must follow. And according to these bylaws, you can't have a chapter of Space Marines that is too big. Some people found ways around that law because they hated it, but most chapters split off, right? Look at how good that free hand was just then to get that blood drop on the shoulder. Heck yeah. Most chapters follow the rules, and so they split up into... I need like a third camera that's right above my head. They split up into like a bunch of little chapters. The main chapter and then what's called Successor chapters. And so the Successor chapters are like the main chapter, except they're also their own thing. So they follow their own rules. All good now? Awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. They also have their own rules and their own things that they do that no other chapter does, right? And so you have all these different Successor chapters that are like their fathers, but aren't them. And so I was like, hey, that's a really cool idea. I really like the lore of the Blood Angels, but I also kind of want to make my own stuff in that Blood Angel story, you know? Right till Runger watches Unicorn. Yeah, we're getting there. It's going to be a little while, but we're getting there. We're making good time, I think, now. But basically, you can make up your own story inside the story using the Successor chapters. I was like, heck yeah, that sounds awesome. So I came up with the Crimson Quietus, which are a Blood Angel Successor chapter that focus on glorious deaths in battle for the Emperor. And if you know the story of like Sanguinius, the father of the Primarch of the Blood Angels, then spoilers, I guess, but Sanguinius does not survive very well. And in his moments of death, he helps win a great victory for the Emperor, and it sends a shockwave rippled through all his sons, who suddenly feel like they need to do the same thing, and also some other stuff that's pretty bad, you know? But I decided it would make it where the Crimson Quietus just wanted to die like their father did. They wanted to die winning a great blow against the enemy for the Emperor. And so their whole thing is finding the right place to die, basically. And so because of that, they don't put a lot of thought into like rank or anything like that. And their main goal is just to fight and to die, you know? And now that I'm thinking about it, I think the regular Intercessors, I'll double check in a second, but I think Blood Angels, the regular Intercessors, just have red helmets. And don't have the blue. I think the blue might be for like backline support. Really want to get this little spot right in there. We go. Little spot right in the edge of the shoulder there. You might be noticing it's getting a lot more red. We're getting a lot more red in here, which is good. We're going to come back over with Nazdrig yellow for the shoulders. And we're going to come in for the chest with Black Templar. And just spot that up a little bit. And maybe, I think I might have used a little bit of Basilicanum Gray in there too. but definitely had a lot of Black Templar on here. And then a little bit of snake bite leather for the pouches, you know? Make them really pop. That's the goal anyway. And for anybody who's like, well, Trey, there's no way you're going to finish this whole Intercessor team in an hour. No, there's no way. But we're going to get them started. And that's the big thing. To have a good time, to hang out, to chat, and to do as much as we can in the hour. Then we come back in 2 weeks and we work on it some more. And hopefully, by alternating between painting and building, we can keep the streams fresh, do something that everybody's excited for, and also get a lot of stuff done. You may notice that I'm not getting the interior of the leg right there. That's because I'm not going to do that in red. I'm going to come back with Black Templar and make the inside of that black to make that joint really pop. Char red, that's right. I had to go for the red boys. Because good old Char. It's funny, the orcs in 40K actually have a thing where if their vehicles are red, they go 3 times faster. And of course we know what that's a reference to. Our boy. I really like the orcs and almost went orcs. I'm glad I didn't in hindsight because my girlfriend wound up going orcs. But orcs are cool. Orcs are cool. So now we have most of this leg painted on this side. And as you can see, the paint actually dries really quickly, which is good in some ways because you can go back over and deepen the paints where you need it to. And bad in some ways because it means that if you make a mistake, it dries very quickly and you don't have a lot of time to wipe it off. But I have come to decide that, honestly, when you make a mistake, it can be better to just leave that mistake. And that may sound crazy, but I think your mistakes give... Got to be real careful right around the purity seal right there. I think your mistakes give your model a little bit more character, you know? I know some people that will not be able to stand that at all and throw a fit about it, but I have not been painting for long at all, and I really do feel like accepting my mistakes instead of floundering against them has helped a whole lot in actually getting models painted. And some of them I think look really cool. I'm really happy with how some of them look. Some of them not so much. Some of them I made a lot of mistakes on. Trey Ross. Yeah, you know, accept your mistakes, like Bob Ross said. And paint those happy little trees. But you can see how quickly, it's why I use contrast paint. You can see how quickly we're getting the color on this model. When otherwise we would have to do a lot more work. With base coating. That's right, it's still Trant until Tuesday. We'd have to do a lot more work with base coating if we didn't with this contrast on here. And it may seem lazy to a lot of people, but I also really like the way contrast paint like fills in the gaps. I'm going to try and get it close enough that you can tell. Yeah, see, the way that it fills in. It zoomed in for just a second. It autofocused on it. It's not going to do it. Well, for just a second, you got to see what I was talking about. Let's see if we can do it up here. The way that it fills these gaps. Well worth the 5K points. I'm glad. I'm glad. All right, we're just going to go back to painting. The camera refuses to autofocus for me. I'm about to get one of those cameras that I can like manually adjust the focus on, like a DSLR over here, just so I can show what I'm talking about. But it fills in the gaps where you don't have to use a wash to make them pop. And it may not seem like much, and I know you can get a much better response out of a wash and a full setup and everything with base coats and undercoats and everything, but it saves me roughly half an hour to an hour per model to use contrast paints. And I don't see enough of a difference for me. Maybe when I'm a better painter, I'll have a different opinion on it. And I'll look back on these and go, how dare you use contrast paints? Why didn't you base coat? Why didn't you wash? But right now, to me, I think these guys look great. Gotta go, gotta eat. I understand, sir. You enjoy your meal. Get the red under here. Be careful not to cover the spots that are supposed to be black. We got a little bit of them there. Right, we've just about got all the red that we need. A couple more little spots here, and I need to double check on the helmets real quick. Because I was pretty sure I knew beforehand. Now I'm not so sure. I'm going to double check that real quick. Blood Angel helmet colors. Yeah, that's what I thought. Red for infantry. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and paint the red for these. Because the assault intercessors get yellow. And these regular intercessors get red. And again, you say, but Trey, these are your custom chapter. Why are you doing that? Well, I'm not doing special commander helmets. But I still want them to like do the basic that their chapter does when it comes to the color defaults. Basically, in my storytelling, they would be able to meet up with any other chapter of Blood Angels and be able to fight alongside them without troubles because they're using the same basic setup. They just don't have specialty helmets because they don't view rank that way. They view rank in the way that you listen to rank, but that all of them are the same on the battlefield when it comes to special honors, things like that, you know? All right, so we're going to paint this helmet red. Be very careful not to get the eyes, which we want to come back in Warp Light and green. And if you get the eyes with this Blood Angels red, you're not going to get it green and it look green anymore. So you got to be really careful there. We're gonna do this very cautiously. I got just a fleck of red in there, but not enough to be a problem. Then we'll come back with our finest brush and do the green there. But as you can see, looking a lot more red than he did before. And we're probably going to go ahead and actually do the other colors on him. When I painted all the others, I went ahead and did them all in a row, doing all the red on one and then all the red on the next. But for the sake of the stream, we're going to go ahead and try and finish one of these guys today. Because all that's really left now is to do all the other colors. And I think you'll see, too, how quickly all the other colors really make them pop. So, we've got the red done. Set him down there for a second. We're going to close up our Blood Angels red. Make sure you close it up good or these pots will leak. These are the Citadel color pots. I don't have the off-brand versions. Went ahead and sprang for the Citadel ones. Because I wanted the official colors. And then, of course, we have our water pot. Never used a water pot for painting. This one has specialty lines in there where you can run the brush in there and get all the red out of it. Then what I like to do, personally, for my brushes, is I'll take a paper towel, and I'll wipe them off on there for a minute, see if there's still red in there. Okay, and then I got to wash it out some more. And if there's not, then once the fully dry, I'll run it across the palette a couple times and just make sure I don't have any more red. I don't want to mix these paints. First off, because they're kind of expensive. And second off, because I want my colors to be good, you know? So we're going to go ahead and get the gold next, and then we'll finish up with the black. So the shoulders are all done. And I can already see a spot that I missed of red. So we will go back to the red before we're done. Right there on the inside of the helmet rim, there's a spot of gray. All right, now this Nasdrig yellow is a like burnished gold yellow almost, and you got to be really careful with it because it will override other colors if you're not. But we want to get the edges of the shoulder plates to be gold. And we got to be really careful with it. But when it's done, it should look really good. And thankfully, if we mess up a little bit with it, we're going to come back over it with the black. The black will be a lot deeper than the gold, but it does still stand out a little if you're not careful. So, all right, we want to get the brass on the side of that there, make that all look good. We want to make sure we don't get the gun here, so we got to be very careful. Got a little too much red on this, so we're probably going to give another coat of the gold later onto the shoulder to make it pop a little more. So I did bleed out a little bit here. The bracket there, and we're going to go underneath that because we're going to do that in gray. And there we go. You can see I splashed it a little bit up here on the shoulder, but that's okay because the shoulder pads will definitely pop later. It'll look pretty good. We're also going to use Nasdrig yellow in kind of a different way. We're going to get a good little bit of it here, and then we're going to run it across the paper for the purity seal. I put a little bit of gold on there first with Nasdrig yellow, and then I come back with Sigor brown or snakebite leather. Either one works. And that gives it that burnished look that I really like. So, all right, I think we're done with the gold on this boy because we're going to do the wings on the shoulder in the same black as the rest. So we're going to come back for a little bit more gold later. Right here. Really shore this up. But for now, that's good. We put our Nasdrig yellow away. Again, we wash our brush. Putting in the water really reminds you just how much of it is yellow and not gold. I think is really interesting. All right. Oh, yet again, paper towel. Yep. I feel like I'm going to get a comment on one of these streams at some point that's just like, Trey, thank you so much. I use these streams to sleep. It's like, you know what? If that's what you're doing, go for it. We're going to go ahead and finish off that purity seal with the pink at least. It's the only spot we're using the pink on this model. So we're going to get a little bit of Volupus pink. And we're just going to dab it in the core of the purity seal right there. Just to really make that purity seal shine. Make it look all waxy. Once that dries, that will be perfect. Again, we wash our brush off. And you may ask, if you've never painted before, when should you change out your water? Honestly, I don't know what the right answer to that question is. I'm still very new to this as well. But I normally go ahead and try to get the water going until I feel like it's just gotten too full of different colors, and then I wash it, which is normally about 6 colors in. Other than that, I normally just let the water be. because it doesn't really matter if it's a bunch of different colors in there as long as none of them are coming back on the brush. All right, so now we have our Black Templar. And we have to be very careful with this because black is a dominating color. It will take over things if we're not careful. So, for instance, we want to make sure we get all of the eagle on the chest, but we don't want to get anything else on the chest. Just a little bit of black on the edge of the breastplate. We can go back over that with red later. And we want to put black in these recesses right here. And I see some more spots that I missed of red. And these recesses down here. And again, it really doesn't matter if it's perfect or not. The main thing is just, are you happy with it? Because anybody that's looking so closely at your models that they're going, hey, that's not perfect. What are they doing that close to your models, man? Like, you're trying to play a game. You're not trying to win a competition, unless you are trying to win a competition, in which case, good luck. But for me, it's about making the model pop while not driving myself insane painting. Those are my two main goals. All right, and I do, for my Crimson Quietus, I like to do the backpack in black for the thrusters. I think that it's a nice homage to the Death Company within the Crimson Quietus' ranks, and that all of the members of the Crimson Quietus recognize at any time they could fall to the Death Company. If you don't know what the Death Company is, basically when Sanguinius died, his death was so shocking that it sent that pulse, that psychic ripple, out to all of his children and to their seeds forever. And now, eventually, every Blood Angel will be consumed by what's called the Black Rage and will become a berserker that can't tell the difference between friend and foe. That is going to look really nice. I really do. I think that's going to look great with that black right there. All right, now we got to get the shoulder pad and we got to get the belt buckle. And then we'll be done with the black for now. I got a little bit on the red there. And then we'll do the Basilicanum Gray. And then we'll follow up on the red. Actually, then we'll do Snakebite Leather. Then we'll come back and follow up on the red to finish. But the Black Rage took over. And so eventually every Blood Angel will become a Berserker that just views every enemy as Horus Lupercal, who killed their father. And all they want is to kill Horus. They will kill other Space Marines. They will try not to kill their own chapter. They will do their best, but they can't always succeed on that front. And so there are Death Company chaplains whose job it is to try and direct them and control their fury. Okay, that actually I think looks pretty good. Maybe we'll come back over the eagle on the shoulder with the Basilicanum Gray just to bring it up a little bit. You get like that when you're hangry? Yeah, I understand. But most chapters do their best to keep the Death Company a secret because it's their shame that some of their battle brothers fall to the Black Rage. But in the Crimson Quietus, instead, they just accept that that's the eventual fate of all Blood Angels and do their best to just do the Emperors work while they are not Death Company. And so there's a lot more black on my Blood Angels, my Crimson Quietist Successor chapter than is on a lot of Blood Angels. Because they don't hide it. They accept it as a part of who they are. Why run from that which may make it easier to die for the Emperor, in their eyes? So the Basilicanum Gray is a really interesting color because it looks a lot darker than it is. And it's kind of deceitful in that way, because when you look on the wet palette, you can't really tell that big of a difference between the Black Templar and the Basilicanum Gray. When it's on the model, there's a big difference. So we're going to put a little bit of gray on the handle of that pistol right there on the backpack. And on this grenade. And then on this grenade here on the end. The other two are pouches, so we're not going to put gray on them. And then we're going to come back over the gun with the gray. And we do actually need Nazarick Yellow one more time. I missed a spot. Right over here. Where Nazarick Yellow was needed. So when you apply the Basilicanum Gray, it's not going to look like there's really much going on there. It's going to look a lot lighter than it should be, and you're going to be a little confused by it the first time. But afterwards, it's going to actually turn out to look pretty cool. Now, see, I've got very carefully gone almost completely around that eagle so that we don't mess it up, because that one is going to be gold. Because they didn't make these weapons. The Emperor did. Well, not the Emperor himself, but his people. If the Crimson Quietist had made those weapons, then the eagle would be black. And you may say, well, Trey, that's just you fan-fictioning over here. That's the whole point of this, isn't it? To make your own Successor chapter and to make them special the way you want them. All right, a little bit of gray there to lighten that up. Okay. Just finish the gun off here. And now again, you may say it doesn't look like there's much color on there. But when you compare that gun on him to this guy's gun that has not been painted yet, it's a pretty big difference. It's actually really substantial in a way that I kind of like. It's kind of dope. Okay. So we put our Basilicanum Gray away. We're actually making really good time for just one model. I guess it helps that I've painted Space Marines a couple times now. All right. So we bring in the Snakebite Leather. And then we'll do some touch-up. In a couple places with the Nazarick Yellow. And then some touch-up with the red. And we'll be done with this guy. So for the Snakebite Leather, it is a much darker brown. And I think it looks absolutely great. It might be my favorite, like, ancillary color. And it's one that I'm going to use for just about every model that we paint on this channel. Because I think Snakebite Leather looks incredible when it's done. For reference, this guy's holster is in Snakebite Leather. Yep. And just really blends in. Welcome back, Will. Just really blends into the rest of the model, I think, in a really cool way. Then we get the belt in Snakebite Leather. So that it pops. And funny story, I almost grabbed the wrong set of Intercessors that hadn't been primed yet for this, and that would have been a funny mistake. The paint would have not stuck to them. All right, so that's our Snakebite Leather. We're actually going to take what's left on our brush and run it back over the Purity Seal down here, just to really make it pop. Look a little bit more aged. if people wind up enjoying these painting streams, which I hope everybody does, let me know. The building stream is probably the best growing stream we've had on YouTube. It had 30 views before the first week was over, and the first week was over 3 days after it was up. But where I was going with that is, if people wind up really liking this, then we will paint the painted Gundam models as well, and get into maybe some Age of Sigmar stuff after we get done with all my backlog. And maybe even do some of the Lord of the Rings stuff that Games Workshop is working on now. All right, so we need just a little bit of this Nazarick yellow. Right here. Okay, and then we're going to go back over this stuff here. A bit of that gold just to make it shine. Okay. So I think that's good on the gold. And then now all we need to do is finish up with the red. We'll have our first model done. You may say, but Trey, what do we do if we finish the first model before... I don't even notice I need to turn the music up. We got to show, hey, that new Lord of the Rings game they're doing seems to be pretty popular. People seem to be liking it. Bring the music back up a little bit where people can hear it. All right. And we'll finish off with the red. If we finish this mini before the time, which I'm almost certain we will, then we'll start on another one. We won't worry about trying to finish it. We'll just start on it and get as far as we can. No rush or anything. All right. Our boy here isn't perfect. I made a lot of mistakes in the process of it. But I'm actually really happy with how he turned out. I can definitely tell where I've gotten better as a painter. A couple places that, I could have done better, but this Intercessor, especially for like an infantry unit that people are not going to look at all that seriously, I'm actually really happy with how he's turned out. I think he looks pretty great. Eventually, we're going to figure out what color I want to paint the Tyranids. Then we'll do some Tyranids on the show, too. All right. All we have left to do is the Warp Lightning for the eyes, and then this boy is done. And you may say, well, it took you an hour to do one mini. That actually, for me, is not bad, time-wise. It's pretty dang good. And as time passes, I'll get better, All right, now we got to be very careful with this, and we're not going to use this brush. We use this brush with an even thinner keel to it, even thinner taper. And we're going to make sure we have just the bare minimum of Warp Lightning on here, and then we're just going to... Oh, I dropped him. I'm so nervous about the eyes. We're just going to... give him the slightest touch to the eyes here. There we go. He's done. All right, let's see if we can get some focus in here. Also, Warp Lightning. Incredible color. Sticks to the brush so hard. Okay. There he is. He's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of flaws on him, but I'm actually really happy with how he turned out. As you can see, a lot of different colors that pop on him because we focused on all those different colors. And I think he fits right in color-wise with the rest of the Blood Angels that I've got here. I'm really happy with how he turned out. So, now I do 5 more. But, that's a great start. 45 in, so we'll probably go ahead and do the red on the next guy. And then we will call it. So we have some options, chat. I'm going to let you choose because we're going to come back and do this next week. First option is this guy. Or not next week, 2 weeks from now. This guy with the knife and the cool shoulder pad. Who's holding his gun. Then we have this guy that's reloading. We got this guy who brought extra ammo. Somebody needed to, so I'm glad he did. And then we've got the commander, the sergeant, who's got his comm relay open. Kind of want to save the sergeant for last, but that's just me. I know which one I'm leaning towards, which is Knife Boy. But I'm gonna give you a chance, chat, to make a choice here. Now that you think about it, is Trans Am a reference to Char? I mean, it could be. It very well could be. It does go faster. Voting towards Reload Guy. Reload Guy is pretty cool. For some reason, it's not showing up on stream anymore. Restream chat is no longer reading the chat, which is unfortunate. But I can see the chat. I see you. There it goes. No. Still not going. Okay. Well, I have chat up over here, so I can still see you. I'm pretty close to the end of the stream anyway, so it's fine. Alright, let's go for Reload Guy then. He's a busy man. I think in actuality, for Reload Guy, it might be better to start with the gray so we can do the fine-tuning on, and we can use our fine-tune brush, our fine point brush, for the gray on his rifle as compared to the red of his hand. Because we don't want to get the red hand covered in basilicanum gray. But we do want the magazine to be visible. Look at that. Look at that. Skill. There's no gray on that hand. I'm getting good at this. I'm getting good at this. All right, now we get the rifle. We got to get this rifle from all sides. There is an eagle on this rifle too. So we got to be careful of that. Just a reminder too, thanks to OC Remix for this music that's copyright free, which means we can play it without having to worry about copyright. If the music should just be like a gentle thing in the background, but if it's too loud, let me know at any time. If it's too quiet, let me know at any time. All right. Let's get the gray of the grenades too while we're at it. Each just got the one grenade, so that makes it easy. All right, so that's our Basilicanum Gray. And that's the gray done for this guy already. Yeah, 3 times output and the gun turns red. Yeah, it very likely is. Gundam really does like to reference Mr. Shar Aznable, and I can't blame them. I can't blame them at all. I also like to reference Mr. Shar Aznable. Alright, let's get some red on this boy. Fine detail again with the hand. I already see I'm going to come back over this with the Basilicanum Gray one more time. It was a little too wet when I applied it the first time, so it missed a spot on the magazine. That's okay. I'm using the wrong brush for this too. It's going to take forever. No point in using a fine detail brush when you don't have to. But we already got this brush wet with red, so we might as well keep going. Did not mean to get a splash of red right there on the chest. That's going to be fun to go over later. Thankfully, we're going over it in black. We might as well do the shoulder pad too. Now, where I really need the camera, I guess, is right here over this shoulder. So you can see what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So we're learning little by little. The camera angles will get better. I have it on a stand now instead of directly above and upside down, but the camera angles will get better. All right, let's go ahead and get the head. Careful not to get the eyes, just as before. Do 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 do. Dun, 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 dun. This is not OC Remix. This is the Trails series. This is specifically from Trails in the Sky, which thankfully is completely free use. They will not hunt you down for using it, which is great because I love that soundtrack. And we get the blood drop. Go. Well, that helmet looks great. That helmet looks great. Really happy with how that helmet turned out. And I haven't even done the green yet. Wish I didn't have to get it so close for it to focus. There we go. All right. Let's get the under the eagle. Then we'll grab the legs and the backpack. And the red on this guy will be pretty much done. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun. I'm starting to get pretty hungry myself, which means it's almost time to stop. I've got a meal that Sorted Foods here on YouTube has as part of their meal packs app that my girlfriend made for me. That is just waiting to be heated up in there. That has like a mix of lasagna and feta cheese and meat. It's supposed to be really good for you. Good and healthy. I could care less if it's healthy, honestly, but it's very tasty. Well, I'm going to be going to eat that in just a minute. I don't know if it was Will talking about eating, Rundgren talking about being hungry or hangry earlier, or if it was just the music reminded me of the sandwich scene. But I got fiercely hungry for a second there. Do, 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 do. Got a little bit of red on top of that, which is unfortunate, but the snakebite leather should cover it. I don't really want to do any painting off stream, but I also could just go ahead and finish this guy off stream. It's a tough choice. But I'm looking at some of these mistakes that I'm going to have to fix off stream because they can't wait. Was not you, Will? Okay. We'll finish up the red on this guy, though. And then I'll fix those mistakes off stream. And then next week we'll be back with the Barbados. And we might be able to finish that next week, honestly. And the week after, we'll be back with more of these Intercessors. Dun, 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 dun. I definitely have a lot more red going around with this brush, and this is the fine brush. But it may be because it's so much smaller that I'm getting a little more reckless with it. A lot more red just like bleeding into other spots where it's not supposed to be. Which again, it's not that big of a deal. I can fix it. But it'd be easier if I wasn't doing it. Blame Rundgren. Now, why did that come through on the stream, but the rest didn't? What are we doing, Restream? Get that red there. I was about to try and, like, I don't know. I was going to say get that red there, like a splash of blood. I was like, but why, Trey? But why? I know they're blood angels, but still, why? Dun, 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 dun. I won't lie to you. I was a little nervous about today's stream because I was actually like really sleepy. I had a headache all day. And I went and took a nap right before the stream. And it helped. I feel like I came in refreshed and ready to rock. Calling you out. All right. I think we got the red done. Which means it's time. Yeah, we'll come back next week and work on the Barbados. And the week after that, we will come back and finish this Intercessor that is mostly done, honestly. The red is... Let me wash out my brush, and then I'll show them to you. Lots of red in the brush right now. Lots of red in the brush. There we go. He is mostly done. How much more do I need to cover to make it work? You know, we just have a little bit of light detail work to do, and then he'll be finished. But I'm pretty happy with how he turned out, and I just noticed a spot I missed with red. We're going to fix real quick. I'm going to wash the red out of this brush again. Never stops. Every time I look at my models, I find something that I missed somewhere. But yeah, we're going to call it there for this boy, for our Intercessor boys. 1 3/4 is not too bad, I think. I would say we would just go ahead until we finish him, but I'm afraid that I get bogged down in the fixing it, and we would not do so. But this will call it for now, and we'll be back Monday with MMO Mondays. We're going to play some more Lotro. Tuesday with a regular podcast. Thursday with the D&D podcast. And then, of course, next Friday, we'll be back with our boy, the Barbados, the 6th Form Barbados. And we will hopefully finish him off. And then the Friday after that, we will finish off this Intercessor and probably get at least one more done, I would think, in that time. So until next time, thanks everybody for coming out. I've really appreciated everybody hanging with me. Hope that you enjoyed this. And if you have some tips or if you have anything you want to talk about painting-wise, please let me know. And until next time, I've been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. The painting minis.